Hi, Kristen.
Hey Jennine, how's it going?
It's going well. I was just thinking about like menopause and how crazy it is. I don't know, like, have you gone through menopause or
Oh yes, I'm
yes.
57, so yes,
Yes.
and yeah. I hit menopause at about I think I was 50 or 51. I can't remember now.
hmm
But yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I was young. I was around 47 when it
Wow.
happened for me. But it was so crazy because like it kind of took me by surprise in a sense. Like it
Well,
happened really quickly and it was just like a surprise. Like I didn't realize it was happening because like nobody told me what to expect.
same. I feel like we're the last generation for this to be like so unspoken and such a mystery. I mean, thank God we're the last generation, but like
Mm.
it sucked, you know? I mean, like I never heard the word perimenopause until after I was in menopause. Like, did you know anything about perimenopause?
No, I had heard some people talk about it, but I was like, how do you know you're in perimenopause?
Yeah, like
Like, yeah, I don't know. All of a sudden, my periods became more and more spaced apart, and then I gained weight. Like there's like some other things, with like libido had decreased like tremendously. Something I still struggle with. A lot of things actually kind of, and then I would talk to the doctor and they're like, "Oh, that's normal."
yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't even I don't even ask my doctor about anything before menopause because I didn't there was just I didn't know that any of that could be related. I mainly had like very heavy periods to the point where I was like crying
Mm.
and cramps.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I was like, why am I reverting back to like when I was 13? Because when I first got my period, I would get such really severe cramps and very heavy periods. And then it kind of evened out. And then when perimenopause struck, it was like back to that again. And I was having all these flashbacks of being like curled up in the fetal position in my
Mm.
bedroom. And I
Oh.
actually went to the emergency room once because my mom was like, I don't know what is happening with you, like that your cramps are this bad.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah. So luckily, there are people on the case. And
Yeah.
I don't know if any of our listeners have heard of the M Factor, but that film was a pretty big phenomenon last year. And it really shined a light on menopause. And
Yeah.
it was screened all around the world. It was like much more of a like a hit or whatever you want to call it than the creators expected. And they are now working on a second documentary called Before the Pause, which is going to be about perimenopause.
Ooh.
So hopefully no one will have to suffer the way we did, you know?
Yeah, I really hope so. I really hope so. So, who are we bringing onto the show today then?
So we are very lucky to have Denise Pines, who is a co-creator of both of the documentaries that I just mentioned. And
Hmm.
I mean, that is like one of the 8 million things that she does.
Yeah.
I like doing research into like what she does and trying to write the intro. I was like, okay, we can't fit it all in. We just have to pick the best, the whatever sounds good. She's like a force. So I'm really excited that we're talking to her today.
Yeah, same here. Let's go talk to her.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hi, welcome to the Closet Philosophy Podcast. This is Jennine. I'm a personal stylist.
And this is Kristen. I'm a fashion writer, and we're here to uncover the ways that your personal style is so much more than just clothes.
Whether you realize it or not, what you wear touches on science, psychology, culture, politics, and so much more.
Right. So Denise Pines is co-founder of Women in the Room Productions and an executive producer of the documentary The M Factor, which changed the way women around the world think about menopause. She is a Peabody award-winning filmmaker, health advocate, and entrepreneur at the forefront of midlife women's wellness. She has produced 13 documentaries that drive social impact and cultural change. Denise is the founder of WisePause Wellness and the Menopause Recognition Awards, co-founder of Tea Botanics, and lead of the Femme Aging Project, which drives innovation for women over 40. She's also president of the Osteopathic Medical Board of California. Denise, we are so excited to have you. Welcome to Closet Philosophy.
Thank you. I'm excited
Oh,
to be here.
so
Yeah, I
glad
just
you're here. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I just have to say that was like a really hard intro to write because there was so much to put in it and like, we couldn't possibly put everything in it. So we're going to find out all the other amazing things you do as well during
Okay.
this interview.
It's so impressive. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited you're here. It's like really cool to like be able to like listen to all of your different experiences. And so let's just like dive right in. Your
Okay.
documentary, The M Factor, had such a huge impact. Women around the world learned so much, and it created a whole new conversation around menopause. You have a follow-up in the works, another documentary that you're calling Before the Pause
Yeah.
about perimenopause, and it's coming up in March 2026.
Yes.
What impact do you hope that this film will have?
The goal for this film is to start having conversations younger so that women don't find themselves in denial or just lack of information. And so they end up suffering. What we found is from the M Factor, we did these pre and post surveys, and we released a report that talked about, on average, women, before they identify the symptoms being perimenopause, they suffer 6 years. So, like, when you had that first super fatigue or that hot flash or that night sweat or whatever your symptom might be, or the tender breast, whatever it might be, you remember when that started, right? And so our goal is to really start to take this out of the shadows, right? That was the goal of the first film, is to get out of the silence, get out of the taboo, getting women to kind of come together in community and watch the film and then be able to talk about their experiences, to feel like somebody was listening to them. So this film is really about, let's start talking younger, right? Let's start making this like a thing you get prepared for, so that actually when you arrive at the perimenopause stage, your symptoms aren't going to be as bad,
Mm,
right? Because we're going to tell you like things to do, things to watch out for, right? Like
mhm.
how to move, how to start really move your body, eating more foods for hormones, right? So there's a way to arrive inside of perimenopause and not have it as disruptive.
Yeah, I mean, nobody talked to me about perimenopause. Like no one. Like I had no idea what was happening until it had happened.
Yeah.
And I always thought, because I think I had menopause like quite young. Like I think I was 47 when I had menopause, like the full year. And so
Oh,
like
wow.
that's
Oh, wow.
pretty young, right? And so like having those experiences, and I look back on it and I think I had like perimenopause like in my late 30s.
Mm.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't think
Yeah.
that many people kn realize that.
No, there's a lot of people. I have a relative that went into full on menopause at 39. She still looks
Whoa.
fine, like she doesn't even have gray hair. She's 61 now. So yeah,
Mhm.
it does show up differently. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have, like, I thought I was going to have my mom's menopause, which was she had really heavy bleeding. So I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to have, right? And when I got hot flashes, I mean, I was so in denial. Like I kept having them. I was thinking like, God, I'm having a freaking heart attack. How could this be? I'm a runner. Like, no,
Mhm.
right? And then finally, after the fourth one, I was like, oh my God, I'm having hot flashes. And
Mm.
I thought to myself, did why was I shocked? I mean, like, here I am sitting on medical regulation boards at high levels, knowing all these doctors. And I realized, like, during my healthcare journey, it let me down, right? Nobody, the one standard question you always ask, when's the first day or the last day of your period? But when I say, well, I haven't had a period in like a year, no one says, oh, Denise, you're in menopause. Or no one says when it's fluctuating, I want to let you know you're in perimenopause. Now, if you find you have some other disrupting symptoms, Denise, why don't we talk about it? None, zero, no conversation.
Mhm.
No
Yeah.
conversation, right? And
Same here.
if that happened to me, right, and my doctor knew the hat that I was wearing, well, how are other women showing up? And I started hearing how other women would show up. Doctors would go, oh, it's only going to be like 5 years, just you'll grind through it, right? Or dismissing them because they were 47 years old, young, or not having any solutions. Saying, oh, let me print some paper out for you. And why don't you read this? Okay,
Hmm.
okay, what I'm supposed to do after I read this, right? So these are, and this is still very much current experience.
Yeah.
We are not teaching physicians, up and coming physicians, so those coming into the pipeline of servicing humans, we're not teaching them right now about perimenopause or menopause. So we're still going to have the same problem unless something radically happens and start changing that. So we got to change what we're producing as physicians, and then we got to change the current practicing physicians. And they need to start, stepping up now. I used to be gentle and talk about that, especially because the hats that I wear, I'm not gentle anymore. Like step your game up. You
Yeah.
you got 40 hours of required continuing medical education course. Take 10 of those hours and learn how to, really help your patients.
Hmm.
Yeah, that kind of dovetails into another question we were going to ask you about AB 360.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I think it kind of like makes sense maybe to talk about it now because doesn't that actually try to get legislation passed that will make it so doctors will have to do better, basically. You can
Yes.
describe it much better than I
Yes.
can.
Okay,
So
so
the
what is AB 360?
So
Yeah.
the goal of that bill is to actually do surveys of practicing physicians in the state of California. In the state of California, we're the largest state. We have the most population of 40 million people. We license the most physicians. So we license about 150,000 physicians. The next largest state is New York with 80,000. So we almost have twice as many. So we have rural areas, urban, suburban, everything you can think. We got all nationalities here. So this is the perfect ground to actually identify what the knowledge gaps are. So it's a survey for physicians that will unveil the knowledge gap that they have in treating and managing menopause. So
Mm.
there's resistance, right? There's resistance to this bill and it got slowed down. So where
Hmm.
typically a bill is a year long, this is now turned into a 2-year bill. So
Mm.
next year we'll go through the same rigor that we went through with this bill, which is, going and testifying in front of the assembly, testifying in front of the Senate, them coming to a vote, and then it goes to the governor for hopefully for a signature. Now
Mhm.
there is a bill on the docket, and this bill, I can't remember the bill number, but it's a AB bill. And this bill is mandating continuing medical education for physicians, as well as making insurance providers cover the cost of treatment. So if I show up to the doctor, you cover my treatment, right? There's a copay or whatever you have, but you still cover that treatment, whatever the treatment is that the physician is going to give you. And Medi-Cal, which is what's in the state of California, other states is Medicaid, would have to cover the woman as well.
So is that specifically for menopause symptoms?
It is specific for menopause symptoms.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's one to
we're
keep an eye
very
out for.
progressive here.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Good. I mean, because as know, and you've talked about previously, even OBGYNs don't have a lot of training in menopause. They know very little about it sometimes. So this is also necessary that you're doing.
Exactly. When people think about their OBs, they think they're everything below the belly. And they were trained to be, if I wanted to be an OB, I wanted to be OP because I wanted to deliver babies, period, end of story.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted to deal with older women as they aged, right? What has happened with a lot of OBs is they started to age along with their patients. So they ended up going into these perimenopause symptoms and then their patient population. So then they realized, like, wow, I don't really know a lot about this. I'm experiencing it myself. My patients are coming in with all of these different symptoms. And so they went and learned, right? They went and did the 10 hours, and so that they are able to help their patients. But if you're a young OB, most likely you're all about delivering babies.
I mean, I remember like in when I was going through this, like I actually can actually not tell you what menopause symptoms are. Like, and because I would go into the doctor for my annual physical or even, for like the pap smear and like talk about, what I was going through. And they would just say, oh, that's normal. They didn't say that that was menopause. They didn't say oh, that's normal for your age. And so, and, I had gained like something like 35 pounds in the space of a year and stuff. And I mean, I'm 5'3", that's a lot of weight. And so, and they were like, oh, that's normal, like for your age. And I was like, is it?
That's
Yeah.
that's a lot of weight to gain in 1 year. That would, if I were a physician, an instant would be like, oh my God, is something happening to her thyroid, right?
Mm.
That would be the
Yeah.
first thing because that is like a lot of weight to gain in a year. Unless you had, kind of a sad moment that occurred and
Well, it was a pandemic, so
oh, pandemic. Oh, yeah, I call it the P20.
the Peabody, yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, and then when I lost it, I got lectured about the losing because they were scared when I lost it. She lectured me like because she thought that something had gone wrong, and it was like in a year, and I lost it. So it was weird that she lectured me about the losing weight, but not the
Maybe it
gaining.
was okay. I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, that's
That's
fine. In case there's other people who are like me, like what are some like symptoms of menopause that aren't really talked about that are actually quite common?
Ooh. So we talked about, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the hair thinning. That's what ended up happening to me as well. The acne, we know kind of the low libido, the incontinence, the very sensitive boobs. Like, I mean, imagine if you're a woman who during like your menstruation, your boobs get tender. Imagine that never going away. Bad BO, where your microbe underneath your arms and even in your pubic hair turn, right? So you're
Mm.
like, is that me or is that guy, right? And it's you.
Yeah.
Um, the skin drying, finding that you're constantly having to put lotion on all the time, and you think like, oh my God, I must have used some cheap soap or something. Oh gosh, achy joints. A lot
Mm.
of women are complaining about achy joints. Mm.
isn't like frozen shoulder another one?
Frozen shoulder. It's so
Mm.
funny. Like I had frozen shoulder and didn't realize it until earlier this year when I
Oh,
like had this flashback to my shoulder was like my right shoulder was always hurting. I go to gym and thought, oh, I must have like twisted it or did something. And I realized like, oh, I had frozen shoulder and didn't realize it because I work out so much in the gym. I just thought it was a gym hurt, but I don't remember hurting it, right?
right.
Mm.
So yeah,
Wow.
there's about 34 what they would term as common vasomotor symptoms, but there are really about 66 symptoms that they can now associate to the perimenopausal menopause transition.
Mm.
That's a lot of symptoms.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
symptoms.
I mean, it seems like, like how when we were like in elementary school, we all had those like puberty classes and like what was happening to our bodies. And like you got those like little booklet about our periods and like what to do. And I feel like we need that for
Yeah, they
like,
don't have that in public schools really anymore. The way they teach health is very different. It's like maybe it's typically contracted out, come in. I'm speaking specifically to public schools. And
mm,
maybe it's 2 hours over the course of a month, and then that's it.
Hmm.
We have to do better. I think lots of young
yeah.
people are growing up not knowing things about their body now.
Mm,
Like you said, I mean, I grew up, I remember we had a whole semester on health education, and
Yeah.
you learned things you didn't know that you may not have gotten from even inside your family because maybe nobody really wants to talk about, different kinds of things like that, right?
hmm
I remember my mother could not wait until I was going to have my period. She literally had like a box with the tampons and all the stuff. I did not understand, even to this day, I do not understand why that was like this great moment for me to have and for her to witness and be a part of.
mm.
Because I could not stand having a period. I couldn't. I just
I
could.
know.
I felt like I was always like, okay, do I have my pads with me? Like, oh my God, is this a heavy month?
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. I think, is that my period? Do I have a jacket to wrap around my waist and run to the
Totally.
bathroom? Right. I mean, it's just like all this every single month. I felt like you're going through this thing, right? I
Mm.
know the beauty of it is we get to have children, but wow, it was
Yeah,
not my favorite thing to experience.
not mine either. Not mine either. Let's talk about you a little bit more. So, like I said, the intro is like a fraction of what you do, and
Mhm.
you're just literally involved in so many things. You're the president of boards, you make movies, you have a tea company, you're involved with nonprofits. And I just wonder, I get exhausted thinking about it. Like, and I just wonder, especially like getting older, like, how do you maintain the energy to keep all of this going?
I don't know how I maintain the energy other than, I've been running for a long time. I still run. I've been running since I was 19. I am an early bird. I get up early. I get a lot done. But by 6 p.m., it's a wrap. Like, don't text me, don't email me. I'm not going to respond. I'm that person at that point in time.
Mhm.
I take vacations, I hang out, on the weekends with friends. So I'm not like 24 workaholic-y, all engrossed in it, but I just have had the capacity. I just think over the years of having done so much, I can do things so much quicker, right? I sort
Mhm.
of refer to myself as a Renaissance woman. I feel like I'm an age enthusiast right now, and I'm at the intersection of like health and tech and film. On
Mhm.
the health side, I love doing this empowerment of, midlife wellness for women. I know it's not something I'll be doing forever, but where I'm at right now, that's the journey I'm on, and I got on that journey from getting a hot flash and wanting to solve it naturally. And so for my personal health, even though I'm in this very traditional environment, my personal health is with a naturopath. And so I called him and said, "Oh my God, I'm having hot flashes." And he was like, "Oh, Dee, I didn't think that was going to happen to you, but hey, here's some tea, right?" And so fast forward, I take this tea, and the tea reduces what I ended up having was severe hot flashes, one every hour and through the night.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
Tea worked to reduce them down to maybe one a day.
Oh
And
wow.
Wow.
so we decided, I wanted to learn more about the tea. So we did all this research out of the country and then formulated the tea. And that led me to then talking to tons of women, about what they're experiencing, right? And so I said, oh my God, there's just so much in this whole menopausal thing. Let me bring
Mhm.
all these doctors together in a day. And I termed it WisePause Wellness. And we still do that. That started in 2019. We do it here in Los Angeles. Before COVID, we traveled it around.
Mm.
And then that same year in 2019, I was reading an article on femtech. And I realized as I'm reading this article, like there was like no solutions for women 40 plus. And I thought, how is that possible? Right? Like we're so many millions of people and nobody's trying to use tech to solve for us. And so
Mm.
I started something called the Femme Aging Project, where we did research specifically on women between the ages of 40 and 60, looking at what is it that they wanted in tech, in health, anything health tech. What were the issues that they were challenged with the most? And even looking at women who are moms and looking at Black women and Latina women and Asian women. So we wanted to make sure that it was very comprehensive so we could almost give a roadmap to innovators and say, here's what women want, do innovation for this. And then we meet with investors to talk to them about, what is the marketable, not just what's on trend, but what is the market viability of these innovations. So
Mm.
that. And then regulation is interesting. I've been in it for a while now, 16 years. And so I'm currently the president of the Osteopathic board, was president of the medical board, and then I also sit on the Federation of All State Medical Boards.
Mm. Wow. So I'm curious, what are some of the things that women want?
Oh, so women want tech, one of the things I keep talking to innovators about is women use a lot of voice tech, but
Mm.
you don't see those solutions emerging yet. I just
Mm.
told a friend of mine who's creating, or she has an app, and I told her, make it voice activated. She hadn't
Mm.
even thought about it either. So we use that. I always say women are tech savvy. We're using that technology at a higher rate than mostly everybody else.
Mm.
But women are looking for solutions around stress and mental health. They're looking for solutions around identifying because they show up at the doctor and the doctors aren't believing that they're in a perimenopause sort of stage. So women want to prove. So they want at-home hormone tests so they can like take it and say, look at this test. Can we now move forward with some kind of solutions? Those types of things are really important. Telehealth, in our survey that we did, we found that 68% of women want telehealth, but only 6% know that telehealth exists for menopause, right?
Mm.
We have a disconnect between the technology that's out there, because there are several telehealth specific menopause platforms, to getting to women. And that really just comes from the fact that we don't get a lot of funding. Women, they don't get a lot of funding for their innovations to be able to spend like a gazillion dollars on, awareness and driving ads and all of that sort of stuff. And so that's the reason why women don't know that the tech solutions exist. And then what happens is those companies end up going out of business because they weren't able to really get the business they needed to continue.
Mm. Mm. It's interesting as you're talking, I'm thinking like you are the type of person who like you see a problem or you experience a problem and then you create a whole movement to like fix it. Like you don't just fix it just for yourself. You're like, I'm gonna fix this for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just was like, with menopause, like, this is over. The next generation is not going to deal with this. Men are going to be talking about perimenopause. They're going to know what it is. That is like my goal, right? And so
Mm.
when we get legislation passed that makes current practicing doctors take menopause training, boom, we'll cover current doctors. The next thing that I'll start tackling is change. How do we change the curriculum in schools? So I've talked to at least 15 program directors at medical schools, and what they will always say is, well, what do you want me to take off? What should we not teach? And I said, it's not about that. It's not about replacing something with the other. It's about along the journey of you talking about health, you need to be talking about women's life stage, right? Her life stage isn't just her child rearing years. That no matter whether you're talking, training a brain surgeon, a brain specialist needs to know that perhaps the person doesn't have a brain issue. What they have is perimenopause, where that is impacting, those hormones are decreasing inside of their brain. That might be it. Not that they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and that you need to put them on antidepressants, right? So if
Mhm.
we're teaching this along the journey of the woman's health, then you're not substituting, you're including what is currently happening to women and understanding their bodies in a longer period of time. Women, we all know we live longer, but what a lot of people don't know is women live longer sicker
Mm.
than men.
Mm.
And we have to figure out, how do we change that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I never I never actually knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. That's
Wow.
that needs to change.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I
Mm.
also I mean I also remember that time, I don't know, it was like during the Clinton Trump campaign, and like Hillary had walking pneumonia, and it turned out that she had been campaigning all of this time when she had pneumonia,
Yeah.
and then people were like, how could she like do that? And I was like, well, women, we do that. We scrape ourselves out of bed and we just go do it anyways. And
That's what we
so, which is, for better, I mean, it's not great. We need to do better as a society to take care of women.
Yes, we don't take care of women. Unfortunately, we don't really value women, because if we value them, we take care of her, right?
Hmm.
Um, and women like bear the responsibility all the time for everything. And it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. you still, even if you have a nanny for every kid, you still have to coordinate it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so you're still the one doing all the things. And then, you're doing all the things. And then, we'll get to this midlife, and you might have the first thing that happens to one of your parents, right? Your first time one of your parents is getting really sick. And so you have that on top of dealing with everything else. And it's also the point of where we start to excel in terms of our work, right? So if you're in your 40s, you could be going from director to VP or VP to SVP or to president. So we also find we have this incredible career trajectory that goes really up. And that's a new stressor, right? At the same time that we may have kids about to go to college, a new
Mm.
stressor. And, the aging parents or the aging aunt or uncle that didn't have kids, where it's like, oh, I guess I'm the one that's going to have to help them out, right?
Yeah, it's the
Mm-hmm.
sandwich generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are just real things that happen, but where do we get support for women? Where do we let women say it's okay to take care of yourself? We don't tell women you can take care of yourself. It's okay for you. It's okay for you to take care of yourself. It's okay for you to say, I don't want to do that right now. Right?
Mhm.
There's no place, no one ever gives us permission, and we don't take it.
I
Mhm.
feel like younger generations are better at that. Like I feel like Gen Z and even millennials seem to be more into self-care. I mean, they're kind of like the Gwyneth Paltrow
They are
wellness
on the younger
generation.
end. Yes, on the
Yeah.
younger end, you're right. Gen Z, I think, and the younger millennials are definitely about like, you know, or their work isn't everything. They'll quit in 2 minutes. You're right. They're about like, I'm gonna go see my friends, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna take care of myself, I'm gonna take a trip, I'm gonna do a weekend, I'm gonna do a drive, I'm gonna do all of that. But they're gonna end up coming into this. They're gonna end up
It's
having
true.
parents they're gonna have to take care of.
Mm.
They're
Yeah.
going to get in with their female, they're gonna be perimenopause.
Mm.
Nothing's gonna change where they're going. And are they prepared?
Mm.
That's so true.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
really true.
Well, I was actually gonna say, like you like have speaking of like stages of life, you've talked about your 50s being elevated at a time of deeper perspective, purpose, and presence.
Yeah.
Does that translate into any particular way to how you get dressed every day?
Into how
Since we're a style podcast, we have to ask this
Okay,
question.
yes, that's a good question. It's funny, my dress has definitely changed since COVID.
Mm.
Where you can now do all your meetings, from your chair at home.
Mm.
Before, yeah, I had, everything coordinated. I have, if you came to my closet, I'm a Virgo. So I have that anal part to me. So everything's color coordinated, right? Colors. I've got all my like dressy stuff. I have a closet called the dressy stuff. I have a closet for like the casual day clothes, like dresses and things like that. And then I got my work fatigue, right, is like that. But everything is color coordinated. So, I kind of go into it going, what color do I feel like today? Do I feel like green? Do I feel like pink? Do I feel like black? And so that kind of is, sort of how I do it. My bottoms are always like some yoga comfortable kind of pant. But, if I'm going out for something, I like fun jeans, fun colors of the jeans. I'm a wedge wearer, and I think that's just come over time as I've gotten older. I used to have a gazillion heels. I'm in denial, like letting them go. But so I have one pair of shoes that I found, these really cool wedges and I have literally 5 pairs of all the colors. And my friends
Mm.
are like, I think you've been wearing those shoes for like 3 years, but why do they look so good?
Oh,
I was
you have
like,
all the
I have
different
five
colors.
pairs.
That's great. Wow.
That
So
is
it
so
sounds like
funny.
you've really kind of come into your own, like you know exactly what you like and like you know yourself.
I do, I do. And my friends do too. They can look at something in a store and go, oh, Dee, this is so you. And I'll look at it and go, that is so me, right?
Mhm.
That's cool.
So yeah, I know like the cuts, like if I'm wearing a dress, I know how I like the dress to fit. I know how I like my necklines. I know where I want things to be snug and not snug. Um,
Yeah.
Like I probably have it in here.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're in a place that, you're driving, like
yeah,
Los Angeles
yeah.
or, like I live in San Francisco, but
Okay.
so but it's also kind of weird because like since the invention of Apple Pay, I actually don't carry my bag hardly at all ever and stuff. So either like I have like and the only time bring out my bag is if I'm going somewhere and I need to bring my driver's license. As soon as they digitize the driver's license, I probably will lose that entirely. And
A driver's license is digitized.
it in California,
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did not
And,
know. I
and
knew
you
that
can
they were
use
doing
it.
it in Arizona, but they did
Yeah,
it in
you can
California
use it
too.
at the airport.
Oh, that's amazing. Because I just recently forgot my driver's license
Mhm.
going on a trip, on a like a business trip. And I got to the airport. I actually forgot like my entire wallet, I think it was. Yeah. So I did not have a credit card. I did not have my driver's license. And just stood with, I had a conversation with what are the TSA folks. And I found a prescription bottle and they were like, do you have any medicine? And I was like, I think I do. And I found this prescription with my name on it and it
Yeah.
matched my ticket and they let me through. But
Wow.
yeah, obviously I didn't have a digitized license plate. I mean, driver's license. But also the other thing is that same trip, I had such a hard time because hotels would not accept Apple Pay. I don't know if this has changed. This was about 2 years ago. I could
Oh,
not check into my hotel. And they were like strict about it. They were like, sorry, you cannot, if you can't pay with a card, you
yeah.
cannot check in. I was like stranded. I had to call my CEO and be like, can you pay with a company credit card? It was so humiliating.
Oh no.
Um, but yeah, so hopefully, I mean, yeah, if everything could be just on this, that would be amazing.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm still old school. I'm so afraid to just depend on the device in case I lose it or it powers off. I was
Mm.
in New York at the end of a year once, and my phone, like, I woke up the next morning, like the night before, I looked at my photos, posted, did the wake up, and my phone was like black. And I went, oh, I could have sworn I charged it, right? And I look and it was plugged in. And so I go to like turn it on, and it literally did a factory reset.
Mm.
Oh my
Everything
God.
gone.
Everything was gone. Oh
Everything was
no.
gone. I didn't freak out because I went, oh, I have one of those cards, one of those SCD card, SID cards in it. No biggie. When I get back to LA, I'll just go into a Verizon store and blah, blah, blah. So I take it in with all this stuff. So I never was panicked. My friend was like, oh my God, are you freaking out? And I'm like, no, 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 girl. Like, it's all backed up, right? It
Mm.
was not.
Oh my
When I
God.
walked out of there, I was like, oh my God, I've lost everything. Like,
Oh my
it
God.
was, yeah. So for me, like, I'm kind of like, I think that happened like 3 years ago. So for me,
Yeah.
I'm a backup. Like, okay, I got to print out my ticket and I'll use my electronic ticket just in case, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's so funny how like these like experiences like, inform like our like decisions. For example, like once I was like mugged by gunpoint, which, and they took my bag and it was like one of the days that I usually don't carry a bag, but it was like one of the days where I didn't have pockets, and so I put everything in my bag.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
so, and I was like, I it's kind of funny because like it's a whole different story, but like I mean I'm fine, obviously, but like I just like gave them back. I was like, sure, it's just a busted iPhone and whatever. But now, like I never carry anything of value in my bag.
That's
Never.
not surprising, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always had every time I leave the house, I always have pockets and
Okay.
my something has to fit like on my body, but everything like that I like that's in my bag is like stuff that like if some kid decides to come and mug me again,
Yeah.
sure. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just like it's kind of funny like how it works like that. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
but yeah, sorry, we get so sidetracked
I know.
from
Well,
this
there's
thing.
something that we
So,
really have
yeah.
to talk about
Yeah.
before we wrap up here, and that
Yeah.
is Prince. Yeah, because I read that you have met Prince not just once, but like more than once and kind of have hung out with him. And we really need to know what
We
that was like, what he was wearing, what you were wearing, and like just we need the story.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So the backstory is the guy that I used to work for was really, really good friends with Prince. He hung out with them all the time. They went to places. He'd meet him all over the country for concert, blah, blah. And but he never would introduce me to him because he knew like the one person that I was a freak for was Prince. And I guess he was trying to figure out, now, Prince is his buddy, but he's got this woman who runs this company who's a fan super freak. And how does he really like bring us together, right? Now, Prince, my friend, had been telling him, like, oh, Denise is the best. She runs my business, da 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 da. But I've never met him. So this one day I go over to his house and he calls me. He says, hey, it's a Saturday. Dee, can you come over? And I'm like, for what? He's like, well, I've got to go meet the president of ABC about a television show. And I was just like, okay, because we were going to meet the hotel, an eyeglass place was there. And at the time, I hadn't had LASIK. And so I was wearing eyeglasses. So I said, okay, as long as you go with me to the store, I'll go with you to the meeting. So I go over there and I'm, pretty casual. I've got this like super, artsy vest on. I've got my hair in like these two big puffs. I'm not looking to meet Prince. Right, right. So I go, and the first thing he says is, what's with the hair? What do you have on? What's your shoes? I had these multicolored clogs to match the vest, right?
That
And I'm
sounds
like,
awesome.
I
right?
know. I know. I'm
So
envisioning
cool.
something really cool.
Yeah.
So cool, but it's very abstract, right? And
Mm.
so I said, don't worry, I'm just gonna go. I'll sit in the lobby while you go to the meeting, right? I don't need to meet the president of ABC. I'm not doing a television show. And so we go. He keeps saying, like, wow, I wish you had something at my house that you could put on. My first thought was like, what are you talking about? I told you I don't need to meet him, right? So we go, da, 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 we go, and he's like, oh, come with me, to the registration. I said, no, no, just sit here. No, 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 come with me. I'm like, oh, okay. So, the lady comes and she comes from behind the counter. And I'm like, oh yeah, the president, he's on the penthouse floor, right? I'm like that.
Mm.
So boom, they swatch and enjoy. So we go up and I'm just standing there and he goes, okay, Dee, we're going to meet Prince. I said, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at my hair. It was one of those mirror elevators, right? Oh my God. What the hell do I have on? This is crazy. Look at my hair. I don't even really wear my hair like this. This is insane. Oh my God. Why didn't you tell me? Da-da-da. He's like, Denise, I swear, if you do not stop, like, you're not going to meet him. I'm going to press the elevator button. You're going to go back down. I'm like, I'm going to be like cool as a cucumber. But I have to have this moment now because you should have just told me. Why didn't you just tell me? I would have just been beautiful, right? The doors open. It was like I didn't even have that theatrics, right? I walk out, so it's all his, security people, and they're like, high-fiving each other, da, da, da. And so he says, oh, just go, down and around to the next door, right? So I'm just thinking it's going to be another series of 1,000, security people. Boom, ring the doorbell thing. Boom, Prince opens the door, and he goes like this, hey, Dee.
Oh,
Like,
he knew.
I love it.
I'm like, hey, how you doing?
That's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
He's like, oh, he gives me a hug. I'm like, uh, not gonna wash for days. Right?
That's so
Wow.
Oh my God.
awesome.
He was so much fun. People
Yeah.
thought he was strange and weird. That was just really a persona. So much fun. Brilliant. Oh my God. He was so well versed on economics and world
Whoa.
affairs, and like we were watching, I think, CNN. I was like laying on his bed. He was here. I was laying there.
Oh,
And my whole mind is having an out of body experience, like, what the hell is
Wow.
happening right now? Right? Like my favorite all-time anything person. I'm like laying on the bed, and then something happens and we laugh and he's like high fives. I'm like, okay, never washing the hand again. Right. I mean, I just kept going through this over and over and over again. But the next time, of course, that I meet him, I'm like totally cool, totally calm. And so yeah, just a great relationship, that my friend had with him. Prince did like a private fundraiser concert. Prince would never let anybody come on stage. He let like all of our friends, because it was like a
oh,
thing, all come up on stage. It
Wow.
was like the best. I had been to so many Prince concerts, but that by far was like the best concert he had ever done.
Oh my God. That is
that's
so
amazing.
heartening to hear that he was awesome in real life.
Awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really was a good person. People didn't realize how philanthropic, he would call you and tell you he was sending money, and do not tell anybody that the money came from him. All kinds of charities. He helped lots of education, programs, lots of universities. He just was that kind of person.
Mm.
That's amazing. Was he wearing like when you met him at the penthouse or whatever, was he wearing like
Again,
ruffles and stuff like that, or was he just wearing like
uh,
normal clothes?
yeah, he was in like a black, like kind of like a black sweater, black slacks, but he did have the hoods on.
Oh,
Oh,
he did.
Did.
yeah.
Did he have like his hair like all like styled, or was he just kind of like more chill?
He didn't have the makeup, but he did have the hair. The hair was, yeah, in the style that he had then, which was a,
Okay.
like shorter, kind of like, straight coast back. Hmm.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that what a cool
Wow.
It
experience.
Yeah.
was so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I was like, I'll never forget it. As you can see, like I've never forgotten it.
How could you like
I
yeah.
mean, how could you? How could you?
Yeah.
He's an icon and stuff. So yeah. So before we head out, I'd love to know, how do you envision your next 10 years of personal expression and the impact you'd like to have?
You know, that's a good question. I'm like, what is this next decade for me? And I think it's, I want to master something new. I know. Well, even when I say that, I say to myself, are you serious right now? I just feel like I love learning. And so what I've decided that my new thing is going to be is about the vagus nerve.
Oh.
That nerve is the biggest nerve that we have in our body, and it controls so much, right? It controls our emotions, it controls, well, how our cells are flowing. And I
Hmm.
said, I really want to be like a learned person on this nerve, because we have this body and there's so much about it that we don't know. And I want to know more about it. So that's my new thing that I'm starting to read just like a little bit every day. I want to have a better practice of meditation and breath work. And I feel like there's something big again that I'm going to do, but I don't know what it is. I'm not looking for it, but I know it's going to be something again.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would not be surprised, not even the slightest.
Yeah.
So
Seems inevitable.
it's so cool. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to have met you, and so thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been great.